Good morning, everyone. What a pleasure it is to be amongst you. In fact, the inspiration to think about preschool education came from Little Laureates. I don't know whether you recall, I had visited one of your schools after that discussion that we had in Kolkata a few months ago. And it came to my mind that there are organizations that are delivering wonderful education in preschool segment, and we could learn from them and see how preschool could be introduced generally. It was just opportune that as I was thinking in terms of preschool, and as I was getting inspiration from organizations like Little Laureates, this opportunity came in terms of looking at education in its entirety in a more comprehensive manner. As some of you are aware that the education in India school education was being served through two different schemes. One was Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, the other was Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. See, Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan was from class 1 to 8 and Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan was from class 9 to 10. So we were looking at interventions in a very segmented manner. And as I am very fond of traveling, and as I traveled to 24 states in the country, I discovered that everything was not well in terms of coordination between these two schemes, as well as in terms of attending to educational requirements before child came to class 1. And that is where, when I visited places like Kolkata, I discovered that there are organizations like Little Laureates who are already indulging quite successfully in educating the child before he got into class 1. And as I said in the beginning, that was a source of inspiration for me. So when I went back, I had discussions with my officers, I had discussions with the minister, and he also agreed that we should lay emphasis also on preschool education. Consequent to which, while formulating the Samagra Shiksha scheme, we decided that we would use preschool also as an instrument for training the child before the child joined class 1. And finally, it was announced in the budget speech by the Honorable Finance Minister as the Samagra Shiksha scheme was launched. But then launching a scheme or announcing a scheme is one thing, and implementing it is a different cup of tea altogether. In fact, my personal view is the easiest thing is to launch a scheme. The easiest thing is to formulate a policy. The most difficult part is to make it happen on the ground. And some of our schemes flounder when it comes to implementation. And hence it was essential to understand the operational aspects of any scheme that we announce. And that is the reason why I came to Kolkata and I requested Mr. Mukherjee that can we have a small discussion on how do we go about implementing this good scheme that the government has announced in terms of preschool education. The intention of the government is absolutely clear and it gets articulated in the Samagra Shiksha scheme. It's there. Now we are in the process of formulating guidelines so as to facilitate setting up of preschool education in various parts of the country. I personally feel that such things should not be made compulsory. I am against compulsions. I am personally of the view that we should make the proposition so attractive that people buy into that proposition. Anything that you make compulsory, the sustenance of it becomes difficult. But if the person who has to implement it has a buy-in into the concept, then the sustenance will be there. I have also said that in our country there is no dearth of ideas. You seek one idea and there are 10 ideas floating. And not many those that float these ideas are very clear in the mind as to how they are going to implement it. So we run into various problems. So my take on ideas is that for an idea to fructify and sustain, it has to be politically acceptable, socially desirable, technologically feasible, financially viable, administratively doable, and legally tenable. Think over these. Because all of us, especially some of you are teaching in schools, must be having tremendous ideas, There's no dearth of ideas. In fact, there are too many of them floating around with not many of them getting implemented. That's the problem with some of the policies. Policy is an articulation of an idea. But when you get down to implementing it, these 6 things come into position. So let's take preschool education. It is politically acceptable because that's what the government has announced its intention very clearly, that they want the scheme. All of you know that it is socially desirable. Preschool education is eminently desirable. Perhaps I was not aware about a year ago, but as I went along in my capacity as school education secretary, I am convinced that preschool education is a socially desirable aspect. It's a socially desirable necessity. It's certainly technologically feasible. Because today you have technology. In fact, technology to my mind can be a game changer in education. Time permitting, I'll explain to you how we are trying to use technology in various aspects of education, and it's bringing about transformation in which education can be delivered, through which quality of education can be improved. One of the major problems that we've had with education is that we got the child to the school, but perhaps the quality of education that we needed to give to the child, there is a lot to be desired. So there, technology is helping us in delivering quality education, and I'm quite certain that even in preschool education, technology can play a phenomenal role. One point which Mr. Mukherjee mentioned, in terms of registration of schools, in terms of data of schools, there technology actually can create a platform, a virtual platform, where all this data can reside and we can make use of that data. So technology can be a big game changer. Again, as I said, time permitting, I'd like to elaborate on how government is using technology in education in general, as also it will be used in preschool. Then it has to be financially viable. Now this is the trickiest part. Until a proposition is financially viable, it won't sustain. So we have to see how do we make it viable. In fact, before I came here, I was having a cup of tea with Mr. Mukherjee, and we were looking at the aspects of financial viability of this excellent proposition of preschool education for its sustainability. What really needs to be done. And I'm so glad he's agreed to prepare a paper on that. And we probably, on the 25th of this month in Delhi, have a longer discussion on the feasibility of such a proposal, which we'll discuss and then take it up within the government to see how we can operationalize it. It has to be administratively doable. So you may have best of ideas. If you don't know how to go about doing it on the ground, it won't happen. It may be politically acceptable, it may be socially desirable, it may be technologically feasible, it may be financially viable, but if administratively I can't make it to happen on the ground, it won't work. And finally, everything has to be legally tenable. Because at the drop of the hat, someone may approach a court and they may stay the proceedings. So it has to be legally tenable. So my understanding of preschool education is that it is indeed politically acceptable, it is socially desirable, it is technologically feasible, it is financially viable. I am convinced that it is administratively doable, and I don't think it will violate any legal provision if you go and implement preschool education. So that's it. We have to get it moving. And this articulation comes so very clearly in Samagra Shiksha. However, as I said, this is a declaration of intent of the government. It's a policy that the government says that we will encourage preschool education. We are now in the process of understanding and evolving guidelines through which it will actually get implemented on the ground. That's where people like you would help us understand what are the problems that we face in doing preschool education. You know, I have always believed that the practitioners are in best position to tell us as to what could possibly go wrong or what are the problems on the ground. I also believe that everything cannot happen in Delhi. You have to go to the field to understand the actual operation of a particular concept. Until we hear you out, until we understand from practitioners, I think the policy or the regulations that we devise will not work on the ground. And that's the reason why I'm here. In fact, I would like to spend a lot of time with you to understand that in preschool education, what are the practical problems that we face in delivering it on the ground. And that's, to my mind, is the importance of a practitioner. A practitioner may have an idea, but he's doing a much more important role. He or she is making things happen on the ground. Proof of putting lies in eating it, of making it happen on the ground. As I said in the beginning, we may have a most brilliant of ideas. But if it doesn't happen on the ground, people don't get impacted. People don't get benefited. The bottom line is the people. The bottom line is the child. Mr. Mukherjee mentioned about employment generation capabilities of preschool education. I will say it's fine, but that's not the ultimate objective. It may be an outcome of the steps that we are taking, But the bottom line is the child. Are we preparing the child appropriately and adequately for him to go into formal school of class 1? That is what I am looking at. As I said, bottom line is the child. What do we need to do that? We should not come up with such ideas which are so expensive that I will not be able to implement it. And that's where organizations like Little Laureates can be of help, because they are doing it in a very economical manner. I am trying to understand how they are doing it. Can it be replicated elsewhere? Now, this is another aspect. There are certain very good models working in some parts of the country. As Secretary Government of India, my aim is to see how this good work, which is being done in pockets, can be scaled. I've often questioned that why should goodness or good work be restricted to a particular area? You know, all the rascals and the ruffians of the world come together and create problems for all of us, no? Why can't good people come around and come together and create goodness? Why can't goodness grow? If you're doing good work, why shouldn't I identify that good work? Why shouldn't I appreciate that good work? Why shouldn't I replicate that good work? Why shouldn't I scale that good work? You know, in my part of the country, where in UP, I have often said, हम मुक्त कंठ से बुराई करते हैं किसी की, हम मुक्त कंठ से तारीफ क्यों नहीं करते? यानी कि we are very expressive when it comes to criticism. Why can't be as expressive when it comes to appreciation? Why can't I appreciate good work that's being done by my neighbor, by my colleague teacher, and learn from that good work? In this era of competition, you know, everyone is competing. School examinations come, a mother is very worried. She's not worried about her child. She's worried about what the neighbor's child has got. No, you're not worried about the sari that you're wearing. You're worried about the sari which the other lady is wearing. How good is your sari as compared to the other sari? It's very unfortunate. It's high time we focused on ourselves. We should compete with ourselves. We should learn from others. We should learn if there is a good quality in my neighbor or somebody else, learn from them. But not compete. Why? Because the circumstances in which the other person exists is totally different from circumstances that you exist. No. Everyone, she may be having a problem with her mother-in-law, you don't have it. She may not be having a problem with her daughter, you may having. So the circumstances are totally different. So why are you comparing yourself with others? I come to Little Laureates, I come to ASSOCHAM to learn, not compete with them. Because I know I can't, as Anil Swarup, set up a school that Little Laureate does. Why should I compete with them? Even if I were to set up a school, why should I compete with them? I should learn from them. I should understand how did they manage to set up such an excellent institution, and learn and improve myself. So competition has to be within. But unfortunately, as I call in this Maggie culture, the 2-minute culture, and what the nation wants to know today is, who's fighting with whom? Why are we fighting with each other? Each one has a point of view. Let's listen to it. Let's allow that freedom of expression. I mean, sometimes I'm very active on the social media, and sometimes I'm quite aghast at the language that is used in the social media. It does not reflect the culture of this country. The culture of this country is to allow people to speak. We are fundamentally democratic. If that be the case, why are we abusing each other? We may disagree with each other. That's what democratic tradition is. But unfortunately, if I don't agree with you, I'll start fighting with you. If I don't agree with you, I'll start abusing you. Why should we do that? Let that person have a point of view. Let me have a point of view. If I have my ability to convince you, I'll convince you. If you don't convince each other, let us exist with difference of opinion. What is wrong in it? Heavens will not fall if we have a difference of opinion and there continues to be a difference of opinion. So I have my problem primarily with number one, people not sufficiently appreciating the work of the colleagues and others. Now may I request those that are sitting here to consciously look at the good work that is happening around you, to talk about that good work, to appreciate that good work, to learn from that good work, and see that goodness and the good work grows. Am I asking for too much from all of you? So will you all join me in what I have created as the nexus of good? Have you heard of this term? You haven't. I have created on the social media a hashtag, nexus of good, where I am trying to identify, appreciate, and propagate good works that are being done by a variety of institutions and individuals. Please join the nexus of good. Please try and appreciate the good work that is happening around you. There is so much negativity that is going around. You all are involved in teaching the children. Now we can't impart this negativity to the young mind. He has to grow with a positive mind. Yes, there are problems in life. There are problems in exams. There are problems here, there and everywhere. But if you have a negative mindset, the chances of resolution of issues and solving problems are much lesser. My personal experience tells me that if you have a positive frame of mind, you will find solution to the most difficult of problems. And let me give you an example. When I was posted as coal secretary, anything that could go wrong had gone wrong with the coal sector. There were scams, they were relating to coal mines. You must have heard of coal mafias. So when I asked a friend of mine on being posted as coal secretary, I asked him, "Yaar, ye sector kaisa hai?" He said, "Gangs of Wasseypur dekhi hai kya?" You heard of this movie? Yeah. This movie is about mafias in the coal sector. And people told me it's so bad. Oh, God bless you, all the best. You know, people instead of congratulating me were wishing me good luck in a sector. Now, how I looked at it, this situation in coal sector was so bad that anything that I would have done with that sector would have been an improvement. So that was my positive way of looking at a situation which was so bad that everyone was wishing me well. Why am I mentioning this to you? I am mentioning this to you is, please remember that almost every individual and every institution has problems. There is no institution, no individual, including the President of the USA, he has more problems than we have. Everyone has a problem. But the point is, how do you approach those problems? And if people like you don't appreciate this part, you will never be able to impart it to the child. I think the teachers, the principals who are interacting with children, who are very impressionistic. So what the child watches on the television is all negative. If you open news channels in the evening, there is more entertainment than anything else. Less of news and more of entertainment, and all in the negative sense. He's killing this guy, there's so much bloodshed there. Is this the child, is this what the child needs to see? But you can't do much about them. But you and I can do it. In our conversation with children, can we be positive? Can we show him a positive part of life? Can we tell him that this also exists and you can revel, enjoy this positivity? You can't do it if you aren't positive in your own thinking. So my request to all of young ladies sitting here is that whenever you interact amongst yourself, whenever you interact with a child, encourage people around you. Identify the good work. Appreciate the good work. Try and talk about the good work. Use social media to propagate good work. I've often said, let nexus of good get the better of nexus of evil. Are you all with me?
Yes.
Thank you very much.